Hey mama, today we're going through 7 different breastfeeding positions and which position is ideal for what kind of baby and what kind of mommy. Part of being a parent is being a problem solver, and it's going to be trial and error trying to figure out which position is right for you. But let's talk about the 7 most common ones. You have cradle and cross cradle. This is cradle, which they're basically the same, but the only difference is which arm is supporting them. This is cradle position because my right arm is supporting my baby who's feeding from my right breast. If I was holding them this way, this is cross cradle. Cradle and cross cradle tend to be an all-around ideal position for most mothers. They find this position very comfortable. It's typically for babies who have no birth trauma or any kind of anatomical difficulty swallowing, breathing, sucking, cleft palate, anything like that. It's for babies who don't have any of that. They are full-term babies who are able to breastfeed relatively easily. The reason why this is a very comfortable, especially the cradle position, is because as I'm supporting her here, I have this hand free, which means I can make a C shape onto my breast, squeeze it to help compress that area to get a better latch. I do have an in-depth latch video that I'll link here or here somewhere. That will break down even further how to get an ideal latch. So cradle, cross cradle is great for when you need a little bit more assistance with that latch. Oftentimes you have a pillow and you put baby up on, you don't want to put them just straight on the table because that's kind of uncomfortable. But to have the pillow standing and you're feeding baby like this, right? You can also get those pillows that clip around on the back, right? Then you can walk around and stand and feed. With the standing position, this is really ideal for mothers who have intense sciatic pain in their lower back, to where sitting and feeding a baby or lying and feeding a baby is so painful, or mothers with very large breasts, because it gives them that added support as well, and it helps them see their baby. Laid back position. This is honestly one of my favorite positions that I use personally, but also that when I work with mothers, this tends to be the one that's like, oh, it causes so much relief for them. They feel like the pain has gone down, the latching is better, and it helps reduce gas in babies as well. So how do we get in that position? Laid back is when you are more comfortably leaning back. You can do it on a couch, on a chair, on your bed. You're going to grab your baby, and they're laying tummy onto your tummy. And both nostrils are visible, and they're latched this way. This position typically needs a pillow underneath this arm to help just support the shoulder for mommy. But why is this position great for babies who have gas, for premature babies, for mothers recovering from C-sections? Because one note with the C-section, sometimes babies will kick against it, and that can be really uncomfortable. So sometimes I would turn my baby a little bit sideways, but their neck is still in line with their spine. This slows down the feed. So if you have an oversupply, if you have a fast letdown, this position can be really beneficial. It slows down the amount of milk coming out, which makes it more comfortable for baby. So then they're not clamping as much. It also gets them in a position to latch more deeply because their chin is against your breast. So that forces them to open up a little bit more, take in more of your nipple and areola, leading to a less painful latch. This position is ideal for babies who tend to have a lot of gas as well, and it lessens the amount of air that they're swallowing. Honestly, it's a great position. If you haven't tried this one, try this one. It's also very comfortable for you because you can just kind of lean back and relax. It's better for your shoulders. Before we get to the following 4 positions, if this has been helpful in any way at all, will you please like and subscribe so that more videos can keep coming. Also, what should we name this baby? She's been in quite a few of our videos. The koala hold. It's also called the seated straddle hold. It is when you are seated upright, your baby is positioned kind of like against your hip, and they're feeding like this. Who needs this position? What is this position ideal for? It is great for babies who have cleft palates, babies with Down syndrome, because you can pair it with the dancer's hold, which is where you're holding your breast, you have your baby, but you're also holding the bottom of their jaw to help give them a little bit more stability. so that they're able to nurse more comfortably. So dancer's hold with the straddle position. If your baby has cleft palate, if your baby has Down syndrome, if your baby has any sort of respiratory illness, or they're having a lot of struggle breathing while they eat, this position can be really, really helpful. Also, because they are sitting upright, it can help with gas as well. The only side effect of this one tends to be more back pain, because we're so focused on sitting upright, right? We're not hunched over doing the seated straddle position. We're sitting upright, our shoulders start to get a little bit more tense. Sometimes we hold them like this. And a lot of mummies who will do this position notice a little bit more back pain. So just making sure, if you're doing the seated straddle position, sit comfortably against a supportive back. That is ideal if it's a little taller than this one, because then it can support my neck too. But always head and neck is in line with the spine. Tummy to tummy. Football hold. This tends to not be a very popular hold with a lot of the moms I work with. They don't love it, but it is a great hold for mummies who have twins and are nursing at the same time. And football hold is where baby is laying on the side, tummy to tummy. Remember, we don't want them up and then head twisted to the side. Their tummy should not be facing the roof. Their tummy should be facing us. So side, and then you latch them this way. Then you have the head support, and then you also have other baby on this side. Now, sometimes mummies will say that the babies will kick off the chair, and then that causes a lot of discomfort because they're pulling the nipple with them. So what they will do is wrap the feet behind their back, or kind of tuck it in behind a pillow, so that their bottom is against the chair instead of their feet being against the chair. All right, side lying. You will obviously be laying on your side. You want a pillow behind your neck. You're going to get baby. Baby is going to be tummy to tummy. Hand is tucked underneath, like in the gap between our breasts, and then they'll be nursing this way. This position is very comfortable for a lot of moms because it allows them to rest. But with some C-section moms, it can kind of hurt the scar a little bit. So just taking let's just say I'm going to grab my blanket, and then I just use that as extra padding, and I tuck that right where my scar is. Now, one thing we want to be careful of with side lying is that they're not over rotated and like pressing their nose against us. We want them kind of open. We can see both nostrils when we feed. That's really important. And then if they unlatch, they roll onto their back, just in case we fall asleep, which a lot of moms do fall asleep in this position. But this tends to be very beneficial position for moms with a big oversupply, babies who have a lot of gas, babies who are premature and are kind of struggling with feeding, all sorts of babies. This position is very popular for a reason. What influences the need for a position? One, the milk supply. If you have a fast letdown, that affects the type of position. If your baby had any birth trauma, because sometimes babies don't want to be, if they got like bruised on one side, my son got really bruised during his birth on the right side, so he did not want to be right side down. He wanted the right side up. Sometimes their vision or their hearing will affect how much, like what position they want to be in while they nurse. If they're born with cleft palate, Down syndrome, Robin-Pierre syndrome, anything like this all affects feeding positions. If you have a large breast, small breast, if you have a very slow flow, if you have an oversupply like we talked about, all of this influences what type of position that you're going to want to try. And remember, it is trial and error. You're going to figure out what works for you. And it might not be the most common choice for people who have what you have, or have the babies who have the conditions that they have. Okay. And it might not be the go-to choice for most moms who are going through what you're going through. You're going to figure it out. And you just try it around, try a couple different positions, see what's comfortable for you and comfortable for baby. You're going to figure this out. I hope it helps. Love ya. See ya, pizza.